The world is fundamentally changing and a lot of old ways don't work anymore. I believe there was never more prominent time for this radical change and building our businesses differently. My name is Elira, and in this new business paradigm podcast, I challenge all business concepts and I bring new and different perspectives for the ways we work, build our businesses and ourselves. I believe in the economy of care, and I stand for creating businesses your own authentic way while doing it with ease, effortless flow, and joy. I would like to invite the experience of entrepreneurship as the journey of more homecoming to yourself. Hi, everyone. Ooh, so nice to see so many new people. Hi, Susanna. Hi, Paulina. Hi, everyone else who is a bit more secret. I'm recording it, but I put speaker view and I pinned me and Karina, so you will not be visible in the recording. Just want to protect your privacy because we will use this recording for other channels. And I'm so excited for this meeting. Hi, Melinda. I always love to have video because I am a big fan of intimacy and relational capacity. So it's always nice to see who I'm talking with. But to start with, I want to introduce myself because there are so many new people today. And my name is Elira. I don't know if you heard about me, but I am somatic business coach and I call myself architect of new business paradigm. It's a big word, but I'm going for it. And I believe that we can build business from ease and flow, and we can expand our business in line with our nervous system, in line with our capacity to grow instead of pushing and burning ourselves out. And hi, Hela. Oh, so nice to see you from Denmark. Some familiar faces too. And this is kind of my key focus of my work. I established framework after almost 20 years of experience in business world and studying human psychology. I realized that it's not only about business strategies and methods, but actually your capacity to embody your gifts and to embody those strategies of business, to hold all of that, to really anchor those desires. I also realized that we are so wired to struggle, and our biggest fear and biggest struggle is actually to embody the goodness, to claim that feeling of good. And because my framework and my key thing is nervous system, build business in line with nervous system, I invited today in this new business paradigm podcast, which I'm doing and elaborating on different topics, very dear, let's say co-client, but also community member of mine, Karina, today to have a conversation, because Karina did my nervous system foundation course with me. And this is how we got to know each other. And then we decided after some conversations, like, oh, but we have such an interesting expertise, both of us, and let's those expertise to meet together today and have a dialogue and see where's that meeting point. And mine is nervous system, and Karina is certified human design analyst. And we found really exciting, like between the two of us, to have this conversation, to have this topic, and it's like, let's bring it on a table with broader audience. So hello, Karina.
Yay, it's so nice to meet you, all of you. Very new faces. I think I know only Elira, so I'm really happy to be here and to have conversation with you, because this is something which really stirred the passion in me. My own process of discovering human design system for years and studying this system and beauty of it looking how your body actually is designed to make decisions. But then my process was really interesting because I've noticed that even though I have all the knowledge and I have all the tools and like all the mind tricks, which our mind can trick us how to not make decision from the mind. So I basically could not move forward in my own business, in my own life. And I was just observing, okay, I know all of this. I know how to make decisions from the body. I have the tools like human design, which helps me with that, but why I can move forward. And then I started to discover more about trauma, about nervous system, and that's how me and Lyra met. And actually I realized, wow, you can have all the tools, all the knowledge, and some system which helps you to reconnect with the wisdom of your body. But the body also has the protective mechanism, even though it is not beneficial for you and for your life, but it had the point of it before. It was protecting you in the childhood, in the years which you experienced trauma. So yeah, and the moment I started to really, really work on my nervous system, wow, so much things open for me and so much growth and capacity for my own business, and not only business but relationship, everything with myself. So, and then I kind of combined it. Wow, I can see really in openness of human design centers how it could play, how my own experience happened. So yes, that's my experience, that how we met, and I would love to share this knowledge and wisdom with all of you guys.
Yeah, like why to keep it in a closet? Let's share with everyone, right? and I really love interaction, so feel free guys to give me these emojis or drop the questions or reflections in the chat. I really appreciate that. And also, if you have any questions or some you would like some clarifications, also drop that and we will address that at the end of it. And we have quite a tight time that we dedicated. We should have set maybe longer, but I want to stick on the boundaries we set. And I think it is really good to start with nervous system. Very short introduction. I want to know how many of you are familiar with nervous system 4 Fs: fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. If you just can, okay, yeah. Oh, okay, so maybe.
I think that's why we're here, actually.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so maybe I don't need to introduce so much about it, but in a nutshell, our system and our nervous system is really responding, and I feel like it's this bridge of embodiment between, you know, our higher self or our potential, what's possible to us, towards the grounding. And it's kind of protection mechanism for us to survive on this earth. And it's so helpful that it protects us and it informs us, and switch it on before our mind switch on to protect and to help us to, though it helps us to survive, it not always help us thrive. So we have to collaborate with nervous system and let our nervous system to feel safe, to expand and grow and rewire and give new imprints for nervous system to show that it's safe to be that, to go that, to do that. So there are 4 responses: fight, flight, freeze, and fawn, which your nervous system really responds in a nanosecond. It's not something you choose. It's literally your response, protective response of your nervous system. And your nervous system decides which one to go. Usually it goes first with fight or flight. This is kind of more rudimental ones. And fight happens when your nervous system decides that they can fight the threat, perceived or real. And then the energy goes outwards and it pushing it outwards, pushing out, pushing back. If your nervous system feels like it cannot fight that energy that comes to you, it chooses protection to flight. It means to run away, to go away. The energy goes back from the threat. And if those two options are not the case, then your nervous system says, okay, I cannot fight it. I cannot run away from it. So I will freeze. I will play dead, like in the animal kingdom. And then it freezes all your body, and it shuts down some literally organisms. So it just keeps, it literally emits the death body. So your threat perceives as like, okay, nothing is here, I can move on. And then when threat is gone, you can unfreeze and finish your fight and flight response. If fighting it doesn't work, running away from it doesn't work, freezing is not an option in the situation, then your nervous system chooses to engage with a threat, because that's only option of survival possible in that situation. And that's what is fawning response about. And in this case, we kind of dissociate a bit and disembody, because all our energy comes towards appeasing the threat. And this approach is usually showing up only in social context. It's relational. And that's what is not talked so much. And maybe that's what's not so known a lot, but we all are relational beings. We all respond with these fight, flight, freeze, and fawn responses in relation with life, in relation of something. So when fawning happens, we are there to say what we want. We want to smile. We want to applaud the threat. Usually it's another person, because we feel terrified to include ourselves, to speak our truth, and to be who we are. And I noticed that these reactions of our nervous system are very, very prominent in a business world. And that's what I'm applying in the entrepreneurship journey. So in my definition, all business paradigm, I feel is very much built from the fight, flight, and very, very strongly functional freeze response. What I call, so that's why there's so much burnout happening. There's so much adrenaline fatigue happening. And what I call functional freeze are people are completely, their body is completely in freeze, but they push it through. They pump the coffee to activate, to mobilize themselves, though the body says, no, stop it. And then they make it happen. But in the moment that they unfreeze, they collapse. And I feel it's not needed to build business from that kind of place. And we first need to heal our nervous system. And then we can start building business from regulated nervous system. And it's never regulated in a way. It's not the aim to be constantly regulated all the time. We are here to be activated and relax afterwards all the time. We wouldn't get up from the bed if we wouldn't be activated. But it's a very different place when you build business and you expand your business, when your nervous system is regulated, and even more importantly, when you know how to regulate yourself, when you know where are your weak spots, where you're triggered more, which for response, one out of four, or maybe few of them, are you triggered and activated more often. I want to ask you guys in the chat if you can write down like which one are your go-to usually? Which ones are your favorite ones? Well, your body's favorite, not yours probably. And yeah, so now I want to invite Karina, and exactly what Susanna asked, how does it show up in your human design? Where to start looking? And I know it's very broad and there are so many things we can look into human design, but what are the key things that we can start looking into those 4 responses that maybe our bodies are individually prone to?
Firstly, I am so passionate about how the centers work, even if it's basic knowledge about human design. There is so much you can uncover and so many angles you can take. So I don't know how many of you are here familiar with human design, because maybe some people are coming like from the background only of knowing Elira and their nervous system. But if you do not know your chart, it's gonna be a replay, and we'll like send instructions where to do the chart and how to look at this. So no worries. For now, you can really like try to listen. So firstly, when we talk about the centers, each center is responsible for a different area of life. And based on this area of life, we have kind of different reactions to the world. In some centers, it's about our inspiration. In some centers, about thinking, conceptualization, like in Ajna. G center is about love, direction, and self. Throat center is about manifestation, as you see here. Heart center is the willpower, ego, just self-worth as well. Solar plexus is about our emotionality. Sacral center is about sexuality and the life force energy to work and make things happen on the daily basis. Splenic center is about survival, fear, immune system, so everything which keeps us healthy or is dangerous to us. And then we have a root center, which is about pressure, adrenaline. It's a motor. It's a very, very powerful in our bodies, which is responsible for stress. And I would like to start with the root center. The root center is on the bottom of our body, not without a reason. It is not directly ever connected to the throat center, and throat center is expression, because this is just too much power. Without the root center, we couldn't live, because it literally gives us pressure to get up from bed and just to make things happen in life. But the problem is that depending on your configuration, and it can show up in open root center or defined root center, there is a place where you have the most stress, and physical stress, physical pressure. So I see fight, 4F's fight response very strongly in the root center, because the fight response is like, okay, I'm going to do it. So the root center is about in undefined state, when somebody doesn't have it colored in, it's wide open. It is basically like, I need to do it fast. I need to go and push and make it happen, because when you have center open, you take in from the other all the stress and pressure energy, not only from your life, but you literally are so sensitive and open to the other that you feel pressure from others. So if you get the task from work, you want to do it as fast as possible, because you want to have it done, because there's never-ending pressure. So the moment you get the task from your boss, you do it as fast as possible, and then you get another task. That's basically how it works. But some people with open root center, they are also really like in that state of like, too much, I cannot handle the pressure. I'm have to run away. I'm avoiding responsibility. I'm going away. I'm not going to do any of it. So they often might like try to leave stuff to the last moment. You have both of the extremes, and depending on like how you handle stress. And I think in the beginning you might try to push it, but then with time you are so stressed that you try to avoid it. So I see the state of like in the root center fight mostly, and flight as well. So that's one thing.
Yeah, because fight and flight is very physical.
Yeah, very physical.
You know, it's and fight response is kind of focused more in the upper part of your body. It's in your jaws, in your hands. It's like pushing away. And also just shoulders. It's literally preparing you for the fight. And as you say, that very physical adrenaline's movement. And the flight response, it's also, I also agree with you, it's in that root center, which is like from lower part of your body, which is like in your legs, because you want to run away. This is where all the energy goes, but also that adrenalized pressure and physical movement to move.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, people with defined root, so the color in, we are saying, okay, open root people who take pressure from others, they are so like stressed. But actually, I have myself like almost every activation defined in root. And this is the fixed way, if you have definition in the root, if it's colored in, it is a fixed state way how you like deal with stress. But that's still physical pressure, which is constant every day. That's just your constant. Like you have all this pressure in your body. I have all this pressure in my body. And if you do not know how to regulate yourself and nervous system, your capacity program can show it, like how to deal with it. But I also have like human design tips, but based on your gates activated, how actually you can like remove this stress, like just make it a little bit less intense, especially in the end of the day. Like, for example, for some people is crying. Some people need to watch fantasy movies. Like there's so many ways. Some people need to clean and organize and make something perfect. So this root center is really, really big on the nervous system. And I'm not saying that all others are also, but the first one I wanted to tell about root, because often in human design, people are just not paying that much attention. They go into ego, they go into like emotional center, but the root is really, really powerful. And it is, in my opinion, worth to talk and check in yourself how it goes for you, if you notice any of this kind of behavior. And we are so used to being in this stress, actually, that we don't even notice. I didn't notice for so many years. First, I was like fighting, but then after time, I just froze because I didn't know how to deal with all the pressure I had in my root. So yeah, then I was in functional freeze for a very, very, very long time. Yeah. So that's one part. Another, I would like to talk as well about flight on top of the root center, emotional center.
Yeah.
This is a big one, because emotional center in open state is about avoiding confrontation and truth, because you take all the emotional energy from other people. That's how you are sensitive. Like you can have your own moods depending on the situation, but actually you're really influenced by the waves of half of the population. So the strategy of the mind, a strategy since you were born, is like play nice. Just not make them angry, because you will feel it 100 times stronger in your own body. So I will play nice, or that's gonna be fun later on. Like I will just try to be nice because, or I will escape and I won't say anything. Parents would ask you like, how was your day? And it was shitty day at school or something. And you say, yeah, it was fine. Bye, I'm going. I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk with you about any problems, because I that's my trauma response. And that's why in human design, we are really talking about not making decisions from the mind. So if you know those strategies, like, you know, oh, I want to avoid confrontation and it's really needed that I have to say how I really feel, then you have, like awareness, observe it. Oh, that's what I'm doing. But it's easy to say when you need human design, you know, I have all this knowledge, right? Okay, it's easy, really easy to say, oh, I should avoid confrontation and I should not do it. That's what I do. But actually, you don't know, because that's your body actually also protecting you. That was your like go-to response as a child. So that's how you learn and condition yourself to be safe. So that's why it's sometimes so hard to actually follow your strategy and authority and not follow those responses, because in early childhood, that was your like dealing with trauma and coming back to safety, even if it's twisted now in your adulthood, right?
I so agree on that. And I have open solar plexus center. So guys, check in your design if you have it open. If it's defined, it can show up also in the shadow and this kind of unhealthy way. But it's even more important if look in your open centers, because this is where you are way more open to the world and conditioning of the world, and you're amplifying other people's energy. So people who are with open emotional center or solar plexus center, I see flight response, but a lot of fawning and freeze response. And fawning, I mean, also just to add what you said, Karina, so I agree on that. This is where people are afraid to speak their truth because they're afraid of that emotional confrontation, that backlash. And this is in the shadow side, in that like protective way. People live in literally like two different lives. So they at home alone, they're one person, and then with other in a relationship, they are another person, or they're afraid of the emotions. They try to keep the peace. They are kind of hiding in a way, afraid to speak their truth. So it's very hard because the emotions for them, and I know for a long time for me, was a hard thing to process there. And then we go to all these strategies, like how to cope if we don't know how to deal with emotions, how to manage emotions, if we don't have the emotional intelligence education. This is where our body is trying to cope with it.
Yeah. And I would also like to add about emotional center, because we focus on open emotional people, but I'm defined myself, and thank God I learned to just try to be in my own wave and speak my feelings, but not to put it on others. Not as a teenager, but now it kind of came naturally. But very, very often the fight response, coming back to fight response, like open emotional people want to deal with things here and now, because it's so hard on their bodies to have all these emotions, all this charge, and I can attend to that you want to like do it now. So somebody wants to escape, maybe open emotional people, like I cannot deal with right now, I need space, and I cannot deal with the charge of emotions, so I want to resolve it now. And one thing, there is no truth in the moment for emotional people. So instead, we should like, not in the moment, like go back to your room, just go down on your wave or go up, whatever it's there. And then when you are clear, come and talk with the person, especially if they are open, because for you, it's uncomfortable, really. Like for emotional people, it's uncomfortable to be with that. And it's not to say that we should not show our nature. It's very important that we are received in our emotionality, but that's why we need to do it from the place of clarity, because you can still come back to it when you are clear what you want to say, and to not make the world around you like chaos. So it is good to inform people, like what I do. I'm now angry, or I'm like now so overwhelmed. I just need a hug. I need to cry. And if somebody has the space for me, they will stay with me. But I always warn them, like, you know what, I cannot, like, it's not your fault. I don't have anything about you. It's just how I feel, right? For them to know that they don't have to pretend with me, that or try to put me, even though it doesn't matter, because they feel exactly what I feel, stronger, right? But the fight response is there for people like, I want to deal with now. I have problem with you, so I'm going to resolve it.
Yeah,
And
especially with the anger, right? It's like anger is the fight response, like the anger is your pushback of the fight to say no. Yeah.
as a boundary as well. Yeah. And also open emotional center, amplifying, that can also be that they would fight back. It can be really messy, so there is like those responses may show up in different center in different ways, so it's always individual, and I am sure we all experience many of them showing up in different state, but to not be stuck in one center. And now I would like to talk about what I see in freeze. Because freeze is really, really, I've been there for so many years.
Like many people. Yeah.
Yeah. So especially with the root, what I said, when I could not fight or flight anymore, I would just freeze. I couldn't deal with pressure, but I also have completely open splenic center, completely open, no gates activation. It means that I literally do not know what it's safe, what it's not. It's like when you have no activation, just the center is blank, open, wide. It means that you don't even know that you might have a problem there because you are so sensitive to everything around you. So I would be in constant anxiety freeze, but I did not know that I'm just because I'm completely open. So everybody who would have any fears around me, and let's be honest, our like society is so full of fear that I would amplify it and take it in. But because I don't know how to handle that, I don't have literally anything to like connect. Oh, I'm afraid of this or that. I would just have no idea. So I would take it all on and I would just escape later on to food, to watching Netflix, wherever was the addiction in the moment, just to regulate myself, right? So there can be a lot of flight in this planning center because you literally want to also escape the danger. But I would see it more as planning people who are defined, who would like, they know when to run away. They know that this is unsafe.
Yeah, that's my one of the strongest center because I'm defined. And this
Yeah.
is where I see this is where my healthy 4Fs coming in as a response. Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's
And I
very
want to add there because yeah, it's very overwhelming because it's you don't have that radar in the system, what's really threat, what is not. So you kind of lean on your environment, other people, like
Yeah.
what that is. And this is where your a lot of health issues come in and immunity because you burn your nervous system in a way, and your nervous system governs all your physiology in a way. But also what I see if you have this center open, splenic center, these are the chronic people pleasers.
Yeah, yeah, that's a
Where
big
people stay too long in relationships, too draining themselves. They don't know when the danger is really danger, even though they kind of get it. So this is where fawning response is also very, very strong.
very strong. Yeah. And one thing to add on that, because what happens with open splenic people, a splenic center, when it's open, it's like you, when you meet this center, which is defined as somebody, they have this consistent way of feeling good, and you don't. So the moment you are next to them, you feel safe with this feel good energy, you actually amplify it. And even if this relationship is really bad for you on so many levels, emotionally, like it's just like complete mess, you would still stay in this relationship because physically you feel more safe than to be completely alone. Because if you're open there, you just constantly like analyzing, like, oh, I have pain here, maybe I'm going to die. Or like, it's literally, you do not feel good. Like only next to those people, and next to those people who feel good consistently, you just feel amazing. So you would stay in the relationship. And that's also how women, sometimes maybe even men, stay in the relationships, which are really toxic. And everybody say, but don't you see that? This is really bad for you. And they would stay in the relationship and they cannot even say why. They have no idea why. They just feel good and they believe this is good because it feels good.
Yeah, it's just perceived good because they need a reference point of some safety.
Yeah.
And if you have open splenic center and open solar plexus, so in a way, if you avoid one of them, if you avoid emotions or you don't know how to handle emotions and they are overwhelming, or if you don't have that reference point, what is safe or not, then what I notice with people, they move in their head. And if your head or your asana is open, usually this is where people start to process their emotions. And this is what I see as a flight response. So we are flighting away to feel our emotions. And then we go into another center, which is, our head two centers, and trying to conceptualize and understand. But it's also not our, it's not how you should do it. It's not how you cannot think through emotions. You have to feel emotions. So often people who are trying to flight, this is the flight response very strongly, is going in your head centers.
Totally.
And this is where we kind of escaping. This is where our energy then gets stuck. We kind of disembody a little bit, or some parts of our body get numb because it's overwhelming. And then we try to, and then, we go that thinking spiral. And I assume many of you can relate, where you just can go and you cannot fall asleep anymore at night. You're just like thinking, and it's repetitive thoughts, because you're trying to fly away from your emotions or from the real thing that happens, or real unsafety that you're feeling, or real threat. So you're kind of trying to conceptualize it.
Yeah, definitely. Especially anxiety combined, I've noticed open ajna and open splenic center. It's like total anxiety on the level of mentally, like anxiety, and but also like literally physical stress and fear in your body. So very interesting thing is with the fawn, because as you said, it is the response which is like the last response, but I've noticed that actually almost all the centers can contribute to being like in the fawn, especially open emotional center, what we were already discussing, where you guys are like playing nice because you are so afraid of danger, but also I've noticed with the ego here, we didn't discuss it, ego, and we also like there are a few things, but ego center is also responsible for fight response here, where you, especially when it's open, you amplify others people's ego, and you are like, I will do it. I am going to prove I am good, I am worthy, so I will fight for it. So this is this kind of willpower energy, and only 30% of population have this defined. And they always, what I know from people, they always like, why others are so competitive with me, or why others are so next to me, so I don't know, so willful, like I have defined ego, and I am not so willful like so many folks, so there is this fight response. But if you have open ego center, open heart center, because it's the same, we use different words, I've noticed that sometimes, because you do not feel worthy, you do not feel like you are enough, so when you meet some people, you always put yourself down and compare yourself with them. And then this is for me also a fawn response, because you are not really truly seeing yourself as valued, so you will try to like, this person who is so worthy is dangerous to me, so I will try to here to prove myself. I'm smaller, and I want to appease danger, because I do not feel worthy to be on the same level.
But the funny part is there that usually you're not unworthy, you're amplifying that other person unworthiness. That's the threat you're feeling, that other person feels unworthy, and then you feel like, oh, okay, I have to make myself smaller, because then I appease the other person, then they are not threatened about it. And yes, so fundamentally agree on that. But also, as you say, it shows in this fight or flight response, and how I see in business, flight response is like literally trying to go away from these emotions and also this real issue. And then people work hard, overcompensate their hours and their input, promises, deliveries, overdo it. And these are like the flight response is this escaping to perfectionism and workaholism. And fight response is this, this like, I can do it. I can do it myself. I can fight it. It's proving myself in that more pushing forward, pushing, the result in a way. And sometimes even towards the narcissism in a way can show up. So yes, it's the outcome, but I fundamentally agree is that because in the relationship, the fawning was triggered and we don't feel safe, so we try to, and it's not, Karina, that fawning response is the last. They can show up. It can be flight and fawn. There is no kind of hierarchy and priority order, and but there's like freeze and fawn. Usually they come together. There are some tendencies more like just common sense, but and how they structured and wired itself. But fawning response is relational response. So, when you're in relation with other person, fawning is usually triggered if there's something really off, amplified.
Definitely. With the open G center, which is about love and direction. So if you really do not feel like you are loved, because you are always kind of confused about, will I find love? Will I find direction in life? That's all depends on your gates activations. And, we can talk generalities here about the centers, but actually it's really, really precise with exactly the lines and the values and all of these nuances of human design. But in general, like, you amplify the personalities of other people. So it can be really confusing for you, because you are like, if they are really nice and funny and stuff like that, so you do it with them, and it feels kind of dishonest for what you would see yourself as a person. And I was confused. I have open G center, and I always could like adjust to others. And when I read description for human design, like, oh, you just amplify the personalities and the just identity of other people. For me, even though it may show up as a fawn, I thought so. Like, I felt like, why I'm pleasing these people, why I'm so nice with them, because they are nice with me, why I'm this way, why I'm changing like chameleon with so many people in different places. On the other hand, there was for sure some fawn as well and other stuff which would come, but also it was kind of relief that this is how I function. And if I am aware of that, or I can be this mirror a little bit, at least on some level, to that person. And I'm sure like reflector know how it is to be a true mirror, because all the centers are open, but especially G center shows up as that. So, but also trying to get the love, that's where you can phone, because that really try to please and like be lovable. So you are not really in truth of what you feel, what you need. You just want to get the love and you don't want to be abandoned. Yeah, basically.
Absolutely. And this is also the center where you have to be really good with uncertainty. And depends how your nervous system feels with uncertainty. And in these times we're living, we are not very good with uncertainty, because everything is uncertain those days. So our nervous system is very, very alert. So when you triggered in that moment where it's like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know where I'm going, I don't know who I am, usually your nervous system tries to cope with it, and then it can pick, in this case, can pick any response. It can be flight response, you try to distract yourself and do whatever, do just to feel like you have a control. It can be fight response, as you say, also fawning to get the love you need. So please other people, to overcompensate yourself that way, because you don't feel safe, don't feel lovable there. So it's really, it's really big one, and I can relate to that.
Yeah, totally. We didn't talk yet about the sacral, and that's a big one as well. I am not a generator. I'm non-sacral being, meaning that I do not have this consistent energy to produce, to make things happen. And I'm sure like generators, they are also burned out, and that's what we also amplify, non-sacral beings like projectors, reflectors, and manifestors. But I see fight so clearly there. It's like, I need to make it happen, and you amplify this energy, and you are like literally on some drugs if you are not a generator next to them. So you feel alive, so you just go, and your body cannot literally keep up with this, because your body is not designed to do so much. There is no consistent motor and fuel which kind of like a battery every day is recharged if you sleep correctly, because not every generator sleeps correctly and use this energy to really feel like rested and recharged. But in general, like, so the fight is there. And I have a question for you, Elira, as a manifesting generator, because you are designed to have lots and lots of energy, but would you see yourself also kind of going into fight response? I'm not sure if you have gate 34, which is
I do, and I recognize that a lot. And this is, so I have like that anger. If you have gate 34, guys, usually you are not only frustrated, but you have stronger expression of anger there. So if because this is a center of boundaries too. So fight and flight response, or any of them, it doesn't have to be trauma in the world. It can be like mosquito comes to you and it invades your boundary, you know, it can be as little as that, and your body responds, and usually intuitively like put the hand and push it back, right? It can be as little as that. And this is also comes, body communicates and responds when my energy is abused, or when I like distribute the energy wrong way, you know, or like we talked, Karina, I said, oh my gosh, I have so much admin work. And this is where my anger from my sacral was piling up with this so much frustration and anger, because I didn't use the energy in the right way. For my nervous system didn't feel safe. But when I know that, I can listen to my body and I don't make deal of it. I don't make stories out of it. I just know my body saying, setting the boundary.
Yeah.
And also in this one, so it can be fight very strong, or like this no very strong, and it can be also flight, because you know you're kind of trying to distract. If you miss that no of your body, then you're trying to distract yourself and work hard, because you kind of lose the momentum, lose that body gut saying no. And if you miss those two, then I see here a lot of freeze response.
Yeah.
Because your body says, like, I think this is kind of one of the main center for freeze response, because your body says, okay, we told you it's not the right use of energy. You still went, go on. So we shut it down.
Black out.
Yeah, until we feel safe, until we refill and resource ourselves, and then we can move again.
Yeah, I was going through those moments, you know, like trying to still build your own business and be in the world, but having to pay the bills, and coming from this basically functional freeze. Like I needed to spend at least 1 month in bed, literally, to and not really move much of my body. So all the work was done from the position of me literally laying in the bed, like I would almost sleep.
Yeah.
Which was an amazing experience, but definitely I could see my freeze there, because if I would go to the generator world and I would amplify all of this energy, then I'm coming home and I'm like, I cannot do literally anything. I cannot cook for myself. I cannot brush my hair. I was so burned out and overwhelmed because I was just going too much. And even though it doesn't seem much, it's just normal work. But if you do it for years, even small tasks can be so overwhelming. So I literally was like on the minimum to like, I will go to supermarket and buy myself some food which is unhealthy, and then my open spleen is talking crazy things like you will die because you eat pizza. No, I'm just talking about the mind, and it's funny, but it's also tragic what can happen to you, and on top of that, anxiety and stuff like that. So
yeah, and our society is built, you know, and this is what is so chronic, that it makes sense. 70% of population is defined sacral center. So, you know, we are structuring societies for doers. And even for doers, it's not healthy. You know, I also had burnout exactly in the center because I used my energy in the wrong way. I didn't honor my body signals. And then I didn't feel safe to say no. And I didn't feel safe to not work, you know, to really relax, to really allow parasympathetic nervous system to kind of recharge and heal and recalibrate. So it goes both ways. But if an open sacral center is like, it's intense. Like I can see in so many people who with the open sacral that they literally burn themselves out. First of all, you know, because they are our societies is not structured this way. It's not acknowledged, and that's why we have such a chronic, again, coffee culture everywhere. You know, because we're not using this properly in our sacral center. Defined or undefined is asking like, oh, please, it's wrong way of using energy. We're using it from this really stress response, trauma and safety response, using our energy instead of like listening and asking body, why is it doesn't feel safe? Why we triggered in this trauma response?
Yeah, exactly. And the last one, which is interesting, is throat.
Yeah.
And maybe that's something which I'm still like discovering, but what I've noticed is that often, like especially open throat center, they have two states. One is complete like total quietness, which is actually natural state because there is no consistent way of speaking and expressing and making things happen, because it's also the center for action. So they can go into this complete shutdown, and that I can see it a little bit with the freeze as well. Like I cannot speak. Like I am literally, I'm dead. I'm not even able to say anything. I am not able to tell you anything, because imagine now that you have open emotional center and open throat center, and then there is this all this stress, and then you are overwhelmed by emotions and you cannot communicate what you are feeling, and then you are completely like shut down and your body is just playing dead. Like I've met those people who are literally are not able to say anything. And you could
Yeah.
see this in kids, for example. There's sometimes they're just totally like done playing that they're not there, there's too much for them to handle.
Yeah,
And
like for example, famous people, you know, or when you go public speaking and they say like, I lost it, I blacked out, like I didn't know what to say. And this is where, you know, when safety was triggered, and then you kind of dissociate a little bit and go in the freeze.
exactly. And also with the open center, it can go other ways. So there is so much pressure on the throat from all the speaking, and that those people can really talk a lot if they are if they don't recognize that this is actually not them and that's their energy. They do not have to act on this pressure to speak, but they mostly have to, because there is just the energy as finally coming to expression, and they would talk a lot and over talk. So then there is this kind of this sense and frequency for me of phone. Like I will talk now. I will talk, and I will like talk the danger out, you know, or talk over it. Maybe that's gonna help.
Yeah, that's a lot, you know, because it's a tool you can like please other person or appease other person. But what I see a lot is the flight response.
Yeah.
Because if flight response shows up physically in your root chakra, usually people have this flickering leg. I was the other day in the cafe and I saw people sitting there on the table having nice dinner, and there was one guy was like literally shaking his leg, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is unreleased flight response. But if it doesn't go there, it can go through your throat, and then you speak very fast, you speak very a lot, maybe, you know, your tone is high pitched, so because you're kind of trying to light the real issue or uncomfort or again emotion or whatever, and safety you there, so you're kind of trying to overcompensate in trying to escape from it by speaking more and speaking fast, not having sense of like connection here.
It's interesting what you said about the leg, because also the gate number 9 in the sacral center, it is the gate where if you have activated it in your chart, very often those people, but it's just the genetics, it's the traits which comes, they cannot sit still. It is not necessarily with everybody like the trauma response. They're literally wired because they cannot sit still, and they need this energy of 52nd gate, which will focus them in to just, because they have so many details and so much energy there to express, to the focus, but they cannot sit still. So oftentimes the leg would like shake, or they would have to do something with their head, or like with clicking the pen and stuff like that. I've noticed it so many times. If I know somebody's chart and I'm observing, I'm like, okay, gate number 9, let's see if that person is
but it is gate 9, but then it's again unreleased unsafety, because they're so overwhelmed with all the details. And if they need to release it, you know, if it's not released, then it's stored in the body, and then, you know, your body doesn't feel safe. So it's in a way, yeah, it is.
And it's beautiful that you brought it, because that's the whole point of our meeting here, all the knowledge of the human design. And I was also in this kind of, not maybe trap, because it's not a trap, it's beautiful system. I mean, I'm so passionate. It's my work, my passion, and I just know how it can help others. But, you know, stuff like that you read the description, which describes kind of like as tendencies of imprint, what can happen there, what are there. And we always have those different expression and embodiment of those frequencies. And now if you read the description, okay, this is how I am, and that's okay because that's my chart, right? But then you may miss the point, like, okay, I knew that I have a lot of pressure and stress and I'm emotional unconsciously. So I might have those moments where I am like freezing and I don't know how to deal with the world, but I wasn't happy, you know. And even though I tried to, okay, my body doesn't move. My body doesn't move, and that's what I've got the message. Like, if your body doesn't move because you have unconscious definition, then it means that you are not clear. Well, yes and no. I truly still believe in the movement of the nature and the universe. When it's ready, it's gonna be ready. But at the same time, I wasn't freeze. It wasn't my clarity. Actually, what was making me not move, maybe I was clear. I felt like I was clear to do things, but I could not because I was in the state of functioning freeze. And only if you deal with your body first and you like regulate your nervous system on daily basis, then and only then you can really see those cues of your own authority, because each of us have very unique authority, even though there are like 8 of them, but no, each authority is like specific to the channels and gates and planets and all of these nuances of individual chart. But still, like the working with nervous system and paying attention to it is so important. And that was the tool which helped me to have the knowledge, beautiful knowledge of human design, and also body work. So now I was able to really, really feel like I'm alive again.
Yeah, I see it. Like, I also studied human design and I also did consultations, and give me such a good the answer of what, and acceptance, and knowing, you know, where are my kind of not weak points, but sensitive points. If you have to really know where your open centers are and to take care of them more carefully. So you know that this is where you can be conditioned stronger or kicked out of the center faster. But for me, nervous system work, it was that how, you know, it's like, I know I'm in freeze, but how do I unfreeze, you know? So this is what gave me that, you know, further step, like how to deal with it, how to relate with the world. And I think that's the beautiful meeting point, and that more holistic approach that we're talking about. And we're reaching out kind of the time here. So guys, if you have any questions, and I'm curious also reflections, how that resonate to you. That was a lot of information, and we assume that you guys know a little bit human design and nervous system. But feel free to drop in the chat. And in the meanwhile, Karina, if people want to deepen in the human design or connect with you, how can they do that?
Okay, so there's few ways how you can connect with my work. And I'm really happy to announce that from today onwards, I will be really, really present on social media. So YouTube videos, Instagram, and further also TikTok. So I want to reach people and I want to share my knowledge freely. For those who cannot afford like consultation and stuff, I really truly believe this information should be out there in the way which is not distorted, because there is so many distortion and sometimes I cannot. So I was decided, okay, I cannot hide anymore. I have years of education and I just need to do it on a more broader scale.
And that's what I appreciate about you, because you really have education and certification from International Human Design School, which is like really raw, the founder of human.
But not only that, because there are so many that I learned from Lavina Archers, and truly she's one of the best teachers out there, in my opinion. Of course, there are
me too. I did course with her too, so I love it. Yeah.
So there is a lot of depth and a lot of things which I really want to bring, and I will actually start with the centers because I think they are the most important. So if people want to see my frequency in explaining, my company, my brand is named Human Design Explained. And the other part is I do holistic coaching, which part of it is living your design for 3 months program, which I will start in around 1 month from now in June. And I couple it because I cannot just tell basic information. I
I
love
know you want to go deep, and I know I appreciate that about you.
Yes, so most of the time, if somebody is in my group, I really give your specific authority. They say you cannot go into tunnels and gates, and I don't care because I really want to give people this holistic experience of them. And on top of that, I also, my biggest passion is like to look at the chart and seeing the uniqueness and the beautiful poetic story of somebody's chart. So for me, writing the literally the singing the song of somebody essence based on the keynoting, because you can have every like keynote, if you know how to string them, you don't have to think about anything. Everything is written in the chart. So I really love to combine it, and that's that's how you can connect in two ways. It's faster, of course, when you are with me privately, but I also share my knowledge on social media. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is I will share with you guys, more contact of Karina and also myself, but this is our contact details. And if you want to deepen in the human design, in the nervous system, which I know some of you did and had a beautiful experience, you can join my nervous system foundation course, where I go very, very deep into all those responses, into the safety and all those emotions, how to manage triggers, how to manage uncouplings. And it's recorded, it's self-paced, but I am there in the background. You can write me questions and comments, and I will always respond. So you can feel that you're having partly life with me. And I personally think it's almost a must for everyone to have that course. Thank you, Helen. Highly recommend it. Yeah, you've been through journey there, but Helen also been to quite a journey there as well. Yeah, I feel everyone who's been through that course really came out differently. Like it's like, awareness you gain, you cannot be unaware anymore. Like it changes with the world, your relationship with the world. And this is where for me is so key foundation for any work that I do going forward. I noticed like people who finish that course, and if they join my another program, my signature program, Capacity Path, there's a different foundation. And that's why I made it also quite affordable price, because I wanted everyone to be able to join. And I made payment plans if you have different if you need different options. So I highly, highly recommend. And also if you need shorter version of it, I made a bit longer long workshop about it to elaborate. But as I understood, many of you here quite familiar with those nervous system responses. Any questions I just wanted to address before we wrap up? Are there any questions and responses? Helle says, thank you for this very interesting information. I can really recognize and relate to a lot here. Need to digest, but would also be interesting to talk more with Karina about this. Yay! Please connect. I will send the recording after, maybe tomorrow, maybe today. And I will add all the links, but also the contact details, so you can reach out and have a conversation. Yeah, I know it's quite hard to find good human design specialists, though it's very much a trend now, and there are so many specialists. But it's like, how do you know which one and which one is good, and what is the approach? That's why I wanted Karina to bring on a table, so you can really, well, not on the table, in the room, okay? So you can like see how she thinks and feel her and connect with her, because I really also appreciate all my community members who are following my work, and I want to give them spotlight. So I will have another one at the end of the month talking about hype of personal branding with another community member. So feel free to join there as well. And you can join my community calls that are happening every month. It's also for free, where we will discuss different new business paradigms topics, which I pick up from you guys or just want to elaborate myself. And yeah, this 4F's focus is very interesting. So if there are no more questions and reflections, I will leave it here. Thank you, Karina, for joining. Thank you for chatting. Thank you for, yeah, we covered quite a lot of deep stuff. And thank you everyone who joined live, and thank you everyone who is watching the replay.
Thank you so much, guys, for coming, and yeah, hope to talk to you. Bye.